Hi, this is Sean Carney, the president of 40 Days for Life, and I'm here with Steve Karlen, and today we have a big announcement that is very exciting for 40 Days for Life, and for, if not you, your family, your church, definitely your community, and it is Steve's new book that he wrote called This Is When We Begin to Fight. And Steve, a couple years ago, about, 3 or 4 years ago, you sent me the manuscript. You wrote this book and never really intended on publishing it.
Yeah, I just thought sometimes it's great to write something, and we had a situation in Madison, Wisconsin, where I live, where my alma mater was trying to open up a late-term abortion facility on campus. And I thought, by the grace of God, we won that battle. The abortion facility never opened, and I just thought, for posterity's sake, I'd like to have a historical record of what happened and just sort of my journey through it, and it turned into a book, and now that book is coming out.
Well, we've known each other for a very long time, and I know your story now, but at the time I met you, I didn't, and I think that's what's so intriguing. I'm going to read your subtitle, one of the greatest subtitles ever written, by the way. And so the title of the book is, and it's on the screen, This Is When We Begin to Fight: A Family's Battle Against Late-Term Abortion, Academia, and Miscarriage at Home. That's a title.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. So it is the must-read book of the rest of this year in 2021 for sure. There's a lot in here, and I want to tell the reader, I feel miscarriage gets overlooked often, even by those in the pro-life movement. We're obviously opposed to the direct killing of unborn children, but the pain of going through miscarriage is something that impacts a lot more people. I've personally never been impacted by it, but Mary Lisa and I, all of our relatives or siblings have gone through miscarriages, and the whole family suffers through that, and it can get glossed over sometimes.
Yeah, even in the pro-life world, we were suffering our second miscarriage in a row after years of infertility, and I had a guy who was a pro-lifer say, how far along was your wife? I said, well, not very. Oh, well, it wasn't that painful then.
Yeah.
And I'm going home to my wife who's, crying every day. And, it was really an experience where we were fighting the alma mater, trying to put in a late-term abortion facility. So by the grace of God, we're out saving babies, but we couldn't save our own. And that was a difficult juxtaposition.
And, frankly, right now when you really got involved in fighting your alma mater, University of Wisconsin, a medical center, was trying to do late-term abortions up to 25 weeks. Sadly, as we sit, at the end of 2020, going into 2021, how elementary that is now that we're in the reign of infanticide that we see from government, from Planned Parenthood, from those who advocate for abortion, now advocate that the baby girl just suffocate on the table if she survives an abortion. But, when you were going through this, your entry into the pro-life movement is a book and is dramatic. And I think what the reader, and what I loved about this beautiful book that every pro-life person should read, is that life is going on in your home. And we all have that. Yours was suffering through these miscarriages. But as you're struggling to bring a life into the world at home, you're fighting this barbaric system of advocating to abort children at 25 weeks. It's really it's beautiful, but it's a huge struggle that you went through.
And it's something that I think every pro-lifer, as you mentioned, in their own way is dealing with. For us, it was miscarriage. Other people have other struggles that are going on. And if you kind of take the 30,000-foot view of the pro-life world, you see just victory after victory after victory. Saved babies, abortion workers converting, abortion facilities closing. And all of that, I think, really only happens after there's the messy part of life where you're struggling with 100 different things. And for us, miscarriage, another life issue in a sense, was what we were struggling with. And so I hope that this book will be an encouragement to people that whatever they're dealing with, there's a way that can coexist with the beauty of God bringing healing and redemption and ultimate victory in the end.
Yeah, and there's so many great pro-life books out there, but there's not one like this. this was very much needed. When you sent me the manuscript, I remember I sat out on my back porch and read it one afternoon, and I called you back and I was like, this is really good. And you're like, yeah, they have some things I want to change or edit. I'm like, but why is this not a book? And I know it's very personal for you, and it's beautiful to see not only the strength in your marriage, but these struggles. And it's a different book. It takes on miscarriage, and every family has been related to somebody or gone through that. And there is no other pro-life book that I know of that ties it all in together as good as yours does. But you're a normal guy, and this is what's good about the book. This is not Steve Karlen talking about how you overcame this.
I am not the hero of this book.
Your wife definitely is, but it's also not one of those, pro-life or Christian books where you will talk about your suffering and how everything is just fine now and you came out smiling and your hair was perfect the whole time. It is a messy book because it was a real struggle, and late-term abortion is a real struggle. And your insane alma mater, the University of Wisconsin, was a struggle, and all that was hitting on full cylinders all at once. And I think it's something that's very relatable. But going before all of that, you weren't really leaping out the door to go be involved in the pro-life movement to begin with.
I've always been pro-life, but for much of my life, I never did anything about it. And maybe that's because I was lazy or I didn't know what I could do to make a difference. But I wanted to sit on the couch and watch baseball. And my wife said, I thought we can go to the pro-life vigil. And what pro-life vigil?
Baseball is pro-life.
There's only 161 other games this year. I don't know if we got time for that. But my wife, who is the hero of the book, plus God, of course. But my wife, I think, is the hero of the book. And she, at the beginning of the book, was not even pro-life herself, but through various journeys and the infertility and the miscarriages and becoming a mother, all of those sorts of things, she really, I think, took a heroic stance for life, and I was blessed to come along with her, and the Lord filled in all the gaps.
Yeah, and folks, you can get the book on Amazon and at 40daysforlife.com. Our store has it, 40daysforlifegear.com. We have specials on the book. So you can definitely get your copy. We're not going to give it away, but like most people, there's a story there. And abortion impacted you directly through one of your friends who was scheduled to have one.
Yes, my wife and I were newlyweds. She was 8 months pregnant with our first son, Peter, and she had a friend who became pregnant. And we thought we had persuaded her to choose life by my wife offering her all kinds of help. And while we were waiting to sit down to have dinner with her, she had an abortion. And that was kind of a wake-up call in many ways. That's what led my wife to become pro-life, and it's what led me to get off the couch and turn off the baseball game and the football game and probably some hockey games and some other games and actually go out and try to be part of the solution to cooperate with God's grace. So, I've got so much respect for the people who, just out of the virtue of their conviction, they've been pro-life and they've acted on it and they've stood out at the vigils. For me, it took a personal encounter with abortion to get me out there. But I think with this book, what I wanted to do with this book is to show that whatever your motivation is, just a good heart or a personal encounter with abortion, God is going to take that and he's going to work with it. And you have no idea how he's going to do it or what he's going to do, but he's going to do something with it.
He will do something with it. And, this is the whole movement is personal encounters. This isn't a pro-life doctrine that sits on an ivory tower and looks down and says, the world ignores science and therefore is killing millions of babies every year. The pro-life movement is quite the opposite. Obviously, the intellectual position of abortion is the easy part. Nothing profound. It doesn't make you any smarter to support life. But the experience with abortion, either family members, women who have had an abortion, workers who have done abortions and left the abortion industry, that makes up the pro-life movement. That's why I think your book is so relatable, because you were like most people, who I'd rather watch football and baseball than go out and pray at an abortion facility, and I think that connection of you doing that and then having this personal encounter with one of your friends thinking, hey, we're going to help save this baby, and then nope, she went in and had the abortion. it becomes very real.
And that's one of the key things is so many pro-lifers, we all know the statistics, the 60 million abortions, the million abortions every year, and all of that is true, and it all conspires to make this the greatest human rights crisis the world has ever seen. But at the same time, every one of those babies is a baby whose life is lost, a mother, a father, aunts, uncles, siblings, surviving and future cousins. There's a whole world that's impacted by it, and we really take a look at a few individuals who have been touched, all in the context of the university insanely trying to open up a late-term abortion facility, by the way, across the street from a state-of-the-art neonatal center.
I know, and I'm saying this as a compliment to you, but you didn't know what you were doing when you were fighting the hospital.
That's the best part.
That's the best part, so the book is so relatable. You have the board of the doctors. They are the bad guy in the book, by the way. But they're, voting and going to push through late-term abortions at your alma mater, and you're just figuring it out. You're sort of this new pro-life leader that's put your trust in God. You're gathering people. It's freezing outside in Wisconsin. I went up for one of your rallies. It was 4 degrees. You're like, yeah, it's not below 0. Isn't that great? And so it's a great story from that element. For that standpoint.
We were too young and inexperienced to know that what we were trying to do was impossible, and I think the Lord respected that in a way.
A little bit of a spoiler. Steve ends up doing a radio interview with a shock jock and not knowing who he was getting on with and being half asleep, and definitely a funny part of the book. But I think it's very, very relatable. I want to, again, the title is This Is When We Begin to Fight a Family's Battle Against Late-Term Abortion, Academia, and Miscarriage at Home. Let's get to the miscarriage part, because I do think that is the most personal for many people. So Mary Lisa and I, we have a lot of friends and family that have had miscarriages. And we have found, as a couple that has not gone through that, that most people don't want to talk about it. They want you to know about it so that you can pray for them and know they're going through that. But it's not something they want to talk about for reasons that are completely understandable. When I met you, it was a great personal experience for me, because you talked about it not flippantly, but openly, and from a standpoint of these are your children and joy, and you and Laura, more than any other couple I've ever known, have had such a beautiful approach to this that makes people around you comfortable, but beyond that, inspired. And I think that will help a lot of couples who really struggle with it. I think it's a testament to your faith. I know you can't say that, but I can say that. But it really is inspiring and beautiful. And I asked you, because I haven't been in your shoes, but when I read that manuscript and I thought, do you want to put this out there? There's a lot of, you get to the bottom of the pit, with your miscarriages, and it's very sad, and it's sad to read. But why did you decide, you know what, we're gonna go the next level beyond just sharing this when we're asked about it, or tying it into our pro-life convictions, to putting it in a book and making it permanent?
Yeah, I think there were 2 reasons for it. One is you'll sometimes see abortion supporters justify abortion by saying, well, we don't grieve these children who are lost to miscarriage. And I'm thinking,
they don't grieve any children. I don't.
Yeah, and that's insane. And so I think for me, it was sort of part of my personal pro-life ministry, if you will, of we need to grant these children the dignity that, silence in some ways denies them. I don't begrudge anyone who wants to keep things private. That's their prerogative. Mm-hmm. And there's, as you said, there's plenty of good reasons for that. But there are many people who I think would like to speak about it, would like to recognize the short lives of the children that they've lost to miscarriage. And my hope is that this book will kind of give people the opportunities to do that. This is sort of a cutting edge of the pro-life movement, I think. For so many years, miscarriage was completely private. It was something you didn't talk about. And I think that people who their approach to grieving is to be open about it, to discuss it, to talk about it, I think they need to have that legitimized, whereas I think that's kind of a new thing.
I do too. I think it's a new thing, and as you mentioned, people are like, "Oh, you only miscarried at 8 weeks or 9 weeks. It's not a big deal." And your miscarriages were at different stages, which I think will connect to a lot of people as well who have gone through miscarriages at different stages of gestation. Okay, so you can go to Amazon. You can go to 40daysforlife.com. You can get the book. It's out. Congratulations. It's exciting.
Thank you.
I know it's stressful releasing a book, and it's kind of like, just get the thing out there. But it's awesome. It's worth reading. It's worth giving away to friends. It's definitely worth giving away to those who both maybe need a kick in the rear to get involved in the pro-life movement, but also anybody who's gone through a miscarriage. You hit on a lot. This has a large audience as a book.
And even though those are some heavy topics, I hope that it's going to be a fun read for people.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm assuring you. It is. It's not just this intense, sad. It's a very uplifting. It's a very funny book. You make fun of yourself a lot, but it's all towards the positive. So very, very well done. Great book. And what do you want people, now that this has been about 5 years in the making, what do you want people to get out of it?
I think what I want people to do is to just consider, I was just a regular sports watching guy and kind of lazy for that matter. I hate to say that, but you don't have to have any particular gifts. You don't need to have any particular skills or experience, but when you answer the Lord's call to stand up for life, He's going to fill in everything that's missing in you. And that's why, people ask me, well, that's cool that you went up against your alma mater. That's a powerful institution. If the Lord can work through a guy like me, He's just showing off. So He can certainly do something with you. And I think the other thing is, as we talked about, emphasizing the dignity of life in the womb, whether it's survives to birth or is lost to abortion or even is miscarried, even in the earliest days, every life is precious and valuable. And I think that this will hopefully reinforce that notion for people all across the spectrum.
Yeah, I think that it will. And the title, again, is This is When We Begin to Fight a Family's Battle Against Late-Term Abortion, Academia, and Miscarriage at Home. You can get it on Amazon. You can also go to 40daysforlife.com on our online store, 40daysforlifegear.com as well. And if you go there, you can download The Forward by our friend Father Frank Pavone. And so download that for free. We have all sorts of discounts if you buy it directly from 40 Days for Life, which supports our mission. You can also get it on Amazon and leave a positive review, but you can get it directly from us. The endorsements are so impressive. Cardinal Burke, Father Pavone wrote the forward, and it's absolutely beautiful. So see all the endorsements on the store, and be sure to download that forward by Father Frank Pavone. So Steve, congratulations. Great book. Get it, give it to your friends, buy a lot of copies, and the first 5,000 copies Steve will sign, which adds a tremendous amount of value and importance. And so please do that. We sell signed books at 40daysforlife.com. So please go 40daysforlife.com/store or amazon.com and get your copy of This Is When We Begin to Fight. God bless you.